And welcome back, everyone, to What If Week, the week of What If. Same freaking thing. The thing that I did, that I did the thing. The week of What If, and it's because I was from Fused Varus. Well, that's the question. What if Tien went to train with Vegeta and Goku, to train with Whis / Beerus? Mostly the training was with Whis. I don't think Beerus really helped at all. Until he got into, later Super, he started to train more with Vegeta. That's where the Ultra Ego came into play. But what if Tien did? I'm like, okay, so among all the... Honestly, Piccolo would make more sense, but Piccolo was training Gohan. So, I mean, among everyone else who was technically still a Z fighter, I guess Tien, who even says he never stopped training, he never stopped trying to improve himself, I guess it would make sense he'd be the most likely to want to study and learn about, the gods, things along those lines. I guess it would make the most sense. So, in a hypothetical where he goes, I imagine he actually he doesn't go with Vegeta, he actually joins up with Goku, meets up with them when Whis shows up, saying, oh yes, it was about time it was about time for that you'd be, asking to join up with Vegeta. Now, first I'm going to enjoy this lovely little, what was it, food. This lovely, it was like meat that I can't actually remember, I know it's a legit thing too. Meat so thin that you actually boil it in really hot water and it just cooks because it's so thin and then you eat it. But, so Tien, we actually said, well, the invitation really was only for Goku. Can you provide any sort of reason why I should let you come as well? It's like, I am a diligent, hardworking student. I promise. So not letting you down. Also, I made you these. It's like, oh, what are these? And it's like, oh my word, these pastries are delightful. You may come. Okay, you're good. So, I mean, that might be just the deciding factor. Theoretically, if every Z fighter had offered a unique dish to them. Anyway, so Tien comes along. And spends now Tien power-wise is so far below Vegeta and Goku. Sparring is a little unfair. So one of the big things with Tien's training that would probably happen is him trying to catch up to that level of power, which would not be easy. Because Saiyan biology just gives them some inherent edges. It's not fair, but it's the facts. In terms of quick training and acclimating your body to power. However, Tien was not lying. He was a diligent student. And he does progress far quicker than he expected. And gets far stronger than anyone else on the planet, save maybe Piccolo or Gohan at the moment, before the God Ki training. Now, training for God Ki, make your arguments where you like. Tien should theoretically be able to do it. In fact, theoretically, anyone with the right diligence and training should be able to do it. The reason for this is very simple. We never saw how Vegeta got God Ki, but we assume it was not through a Super Saiyan God ritual, which means he had to train to unlock Divine Ki. Similar to actually how Toppo did it, too. Because Toppo had access to Kaishin Ki, God Destruction Energy, which is Divine Ki on a different level. So, by all accounts, Tien should be able to do it, and Tien is a very good student and a very good very diligent in training, takes it seriously. So it makes all the sense of the world that he would go, or that he could get God Ki. So when Frieza shows up and attacks, most of it's going to say minus the fact they don't have Tien there. But when Goku, Vegeta, and Tien show up, they're all there to help out. Unfortunately, I keep saying Go. Tien doesn't get a chance to show up because this is a personal fight for Vegeta and Goku. Now, one of the big things that does happen here after the whole Resurrection F is with the Universe 6 tournament, they asked Tien to come and participate. Tien actually agrees because he doesn't want to test out what he's learned. So I think you have a very pivotal moment here where they don't have Majin Buu. It makes sense. Normally, Buu would be there, but Buu would be there because arguably Buu's probably, from a power perspective, the third strongest on the planet at that time. Now, fourth if you count 17. But yeah, he's third or fourth strongest on the planet. That was before he did all the buffed up training. So Tien goes. He's replacing Buu on this team, which is very important. Now Goku goes first, like he always does. The Botama thing goes down. Per pat. I know what I always try to say with that. What I'm trying to say when I say that term. Goes down. It goes down the way it goes initially, and then Frost comes. Piccolo is disqualified. Piccolo gets knocked out, but then Frost is disqualified, and Piccolo then decides to opt out to give Vegeta a shot. Vegeta goes in. Everything goes fine until Hit comes. Tien having his third eye gives him a bit more, not clairvoyance, but insight. He's able to see things and discover things a bit more precisely, which means I think he could actually pinpoint or cue into the timing of Hit's strikes. So Tien goes, and they're going toe to toe for a little bit. Tien's still the weaker, but after a few shots, and he's just like, ugh, he finally says, "I got it down," and he uses the multiform technique only to create, I think, 3 of them. Well, he could create 4. I think that's reasonable. 4 of them, and the 2 of them go down, but then the other 2 come in because they're weaker. They're weaker. They're not going to get hit as hard. But what they are going to do is be able to surprise him with a solar flare. It's like, damn it! And then all of a sudden Hit can sense something, because Hit, I think, could sense God Ki. I think it's never flat out said, but he could. I think it's implied because he could go toe to toe with God-like individuals. And we're almost certain Jiren could sense it as well. So his eyes are blind, but he can sense the divine Ki coming off of Tien. Everyone's just shocked except for Vegeta and Goku, who have seen this during sparring, so they're not shocked at all. If anything, Tien is giving Vegeta a lot more respect for Tien. Not to say he probably ever, especially in Super, didn't have some level of respect for him, but he's got a lot more now because he's actually become a legitimate rival. And on a power scale, man, I'm stuttering over words. It's been a long freaking day. Just because of work and heat, and I'm tired, and I woke up tired. I think I maybe had one too many drinks. I didn't go to bed drunk or anything, but alcohol does mess with your sleep a little bit. I need to make a habit of not drinking before I go to bed. Anyway, so let me just see if I can just calm myself down a little bit here in my head, and then slow my roll as I'm talking. So, scaling a human God form to Super Saiyan God is an interesting concept, because we just don't have any other, what's the best way to put it? We don't have any other metric of measurement for God Ki except for Super Saiyan gods, and then like the gods of destruction, and those are just way beyond like normal gods. You do have the Kaioshin, but they're gods, but not in the same sense as, say, like learning to use and harness God Ki in combat type of gods. I mean, you do have like the Grand Supreme Kai, who, spoilers if you haven't seen my latest version of What If Cell Turned Good, showed up in Cell Turned Good. It's tough to kind of gauge where he could be. I will say this, though, it is probably weaker than Super Saiyan God. Again, let's put Super Saiyan God at the 100 marker. Similar to how Super Saiyan God was about 70% of Beerus, at least according to what they said, or 60%. This is probably the equivalent to Super Saiyan God. It's about 60 or 7% of Super Saiyan God, which still makes Tien now the third strongest individual in the series, probably. If you really wanted to be technical on it, at least in terms of the Z fighters. So he now activates his God form. He comes in. He's attacking a lot harder, a lot stronger. He uses the Shingeki. Hit nearly is able to dodge it, freezing time, and just getting out of the way. Tien now using the multiform again, but now, and this is a very interesting concept. Multiform with God Ki. That's a fun concept, because yeah, sure, the more copies you make, the more you're splitting your power and dividing it between those copies. But when you have the power of a god, even like if you split it to a quarter each, that still probably puts you way stronger than anyone from Dragon Ball Z. minus maybe Vegeta. That level of power, if you do the multiplication based on what they're saying, is ridiculous. So Tien is now legitimately pushing back Hit. Hit is struggling. And this forces actually the thing that happened in his fight with Goku, improvement. He goes from point 1 to point 2, point 2 to point 3, to point 4, 6 seconds. And Tien is struggling and fighting. He gives everything he's got, but ultimately Hit just, boom, puts him down. And that brings in Goku to finish out the fight. Now, because Goku's been watching the fight, he immediately goes into Super Saiyan Blue. And he can ultimately keep up to a degree, but Hit says, I'm not done improving. I want to keep improving. I've spent all this time, never having to improve, and now I mean someone who can push me past my limits. I don't want to stop improving. So him and Goku go at it. Obviously, Goku has a Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10. Big thing here, though, I think, is that Hit's already tired out a bit from the fight with Tien. Tien actually was able to drag that fight on fairly confidently, or not confidently, but fairly well. He got some good hits in, too. So Hit's already injured, and he's not as fresh. Now, he's not as fresh. So this leaves one of two things. Goku actually can straight up beat Hit here, and maybe he does. Either way, their Universe 7 will be fine. Or Goku notes that Hit's not at his peak, and he wants to fight him at his best, because Super Goku, admittedly, is a little chaotic in what he wants. So I hope Loading Crew would the Loading Crew ever do a alignment video on Goku, if they ever do, then yeah, I look forward to that. Just seeing how they rationalize some of the super choices he did. So, Universe 6 tournament will go fine. Believe it or not, I think the Goku Black arc is the same. Why? Because I think what they agree on is that Tien needs to stay behind and protect things just in case. He is basically the third strongest on the planet now, in terms of the Z Warriors. So I think he would actually stay behind. So the Resurrection Goku Black arc goes the same. Meanwhile, Tien keeps training with God Ki, trying to maybe push himself beyond. Remembering he also has probably been trying to do learn Ultra Instinct, but it's just Ultra Instinct is near impossible to learn if you're not a god. Even then, it's difficult. The fact that Goku has any level of mastery over it at all is nothing short of unimaginable. Which would lead us then straight into the Tournament of Power, which honestly, like no joke, would still have the same team. It would. The only difference is now you have a TNA who's stronger than he was previously in this What If, but is arguably the third strongest. Well, now when Frieza comes back, Frieza overtakes the third strongest spot. But let's see here. And by the way, I would say that yes, Gohan is the one who goes. Same with Boo to the preliminary match, the exhibition. But yeah, just because I think Tien's going to be busy, at least because he has a dojo. So he has students. He trains them as well. So I'm just scaling everyone up here. Tien's probably the fourth strongest. Gohan still hasn't even hit his true peak yet, even with his ultimate power or his hidden potential unlock. What do you want to call it? Ultimate Gohan, Mystic Gohan, whatever. Piccolo is still Piccolo. See, 17 is the weird one. That's the one where I'm like, okay, dude, is Tien fourth or fifth strongest? The problem here is that I think, while I don't agree with 17 getting as strong as he did in Super, just randomly, no reason whatsoever, I will admit that he's not as strong as he seems. If you read the manga and the anime are somewhat separate from each other. I mean, they're telling the same events in different ways. But Goku in the manga actually used Super Saiyan 3 in his fight with 17. And at that point, 17 was actually on the losing side of the fight. And that can actually be backed up a little bit by the fact that Goku says in the anime, he wasn't sure, he didn't want to risk killing 17. That's why he used the Super Saiyan Blue for him, because that's all about ki control. He could be at his max god potential, Or he could actually lower himself so much that he can kind of just be a little bit stronger than Krillin. That's how that form, from the best of my knowledge, works. So 17, while being very powerful, is not actually as strong as people I think give him or given the benefit of the doubt for. He certainly was an MVP of the tournament, no doubt about it. But he's not that strong. Very strong, but not that strong. So I would still put Tien at number 4. But ultimately, we get the tournament of power. And a lot of it does go the same. The difference here, though, is that Tien is not going to get knocked out by a sniper in a suicide run. Tien, in fact, probably using God Ki, is able to just quickly rush this guy and take his ass out after he's able to find him, probably using a clone as a decoy. And the clone gets, or the duplicate as a decoy. So Tien is going to get to last longer, which means Roshi and Krillin go out first, but Tien is still around, I would say, even before when the Jiren fight takes place. After that, it's all a matter of when Tien's going to get knocked out, because he's still only ranked as the 4th strongest, and therefore, and while he's tactical, certainly, he doesn't have the hexes that the level of power Frieza has, or the hexes that, like the Infinite Energy Engine or the Near Unbreakable Shield that 17 has. So where do I see Tien getting knocked out, and does he play any pivotal role in the Tournament of Power beyond that? And that I would see him probably getting knocked out around either right before or right at the start of the Universe 9 versus Universe 7 fight. That'd probably be my best guess. And I think it's because he's smart enough to be able to keep the Universe 4 fighters from getting any sneak attack wins. He's not going to probably fall. If he falls to Ani-Raze, he might be the one who goes out. But if nothing else, he might take the place of Gohan when it comes to taking out Disto. He's got a few more tricks up his sleeve, including a sword flare, multi-form technique. He also knows the Kamehameha, obviously. So I think that might be the more effective place to take him out, which means that leaves Gohan around to help fight in the tournament beyond that. Now, unfortunately, Gohan's power at that point still wasn't enough to really be doing much against something like Toppo or Jiren, but in conjunction with some other fighters, like Frieza and 17, them taking Toppa is very possible before he ever goes Hakayashin on him. Which means now you have them all fighting Jiren, and I think it's just a matter of boop, knock him out, boop, knock him out, doop. Just keep boop, 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 knocking them all out. Maybe Frieza goes, maybe Gohan goes. But either way, I think the tournament still plays out relatively the same. It's just you have a much stronger individual who can maybe even knock a team out so they can avoid some trouble. That's entirely possible. When it comes to Dragon Ball Super Broly, while Tien's very strong, he knows he wouldn't be able to take on Broly at all just by sensing his power long term, or as it is. And he's not around for Dragon Ball Superhero, so I don't see that playing a factor. So if Tien ultimately trained with Goku and Vegeta and even had access to God Ki, I really don't think it would play that much of a factor because we don't know what a human with God Ki would actually look like. We can just make assumptions. I have to assume based on literal biology that it wouldn't be as strong as the God Ki inherited or accessed by Goku and Vegeta because their bodies actually are able to absorb the power into their bodies. Now, please don't ask me to do one where, to make it their base. Now, please don't ask me to just repeat this where they can absorb it into their base. I occasionally get that with people who ask for what ifs, and then they was like, well, that wasn't quite what I wanted, but you did it anyway, so can you not do this version of that video, but do this instead? I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I've already done the request. Just because I didn't do it the way you wanted, I'm sorry. That you wanted my interpretation. This is my interpretation. Anyway, so that's that. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. What would you do differently if you would do something differently? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you folks